Big money offer was made for free agent head coach Monty Williams, former Suns head coach.
Yeah.
And it was unsuccessful. Unsuccessful, I think, for a lot of reasons. Falling to 5th doesn't help. Not landing the #1 overall pick essentially sealed your fate there with attracting any top quality coach. So now you're going to have to go and take a chance on a young up-and-comer, unproven coach. Someone off the bench in the NBA, an assistant, or like Troy Weaver is pitching to everybody in LCA, Kevin Ollie. So, rumors are he wants Kevin Ollie. Tom Gores wanted and tried to get Monty Williams, and that failed. So now that that's failed, Jeff, Jaron Collins, nah, not enough experience. Not enough. Charles Lee, fuck him. Fuck him. Kevin Ollie, who coached the Thompson twins at a social media network.
Yeah, to be fair, he also did win an NCAA championship
With
UConn.
someone.
I'm not trying to defend. I'm just
Kemba
saying.
Walker?
Well,
Was that the Kemba Walker run? Was it not?
yeah, they had Shabazz Napier. He's been good with guards, but regardless,
Shabazz.
No
Napier.
pun
not
intended.
most people's favorite hire if they get Kevin Ollie. I looked at this news and I took it for a couple different things. I think part of it is the Pistons. You have the 5th overall pick. It's not the most attractive coaching destination, but I think a lot of it has to do with Monty taking a year off. Because if you look at the Bucks finalists, they wanted Monty Williams, but if you check, he's not on the finalists for the Bucks. So that shows that maybe he's taking a year off at this point, I would assume. But also part of it, I do believe, is, if it was the Pistons and he really wanted the job, he would take it. But he's still under contract for the Suns, so regardless, he's going to get paid. He's going to get paid to take a year off. He can come back next year and have his pick of the litter of new jobs that'll open up. So I don't think this is all on the Pistons, but I think part of it.
No, I think it is.
definitely.
And I think this job day to day becomes more and more unattractive.
Well, like I said, if it wasn't the Pistons, he would probably have that Bucks job. But he's not a finalist for it.
Look, if he doesn't want a job, he has that power and pull to want and get any job, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He is probably the most attractive candidate, proven, outside of Budenholzer and Doc that's available. I mean, this is a powerful market. You're not going to get any of them. So instead of going the direction that we've seen some of these younger teams that are up and coming, some have made the play and some have even made the second round of the playoffs in the last few years, instead of going to an NBA bench and polling some of the smartest, experienced, shown that they know how to win, they've been a part of a winning culture, instead of going for that assistant, it looks like the Pistons are going for Kevin Ollie. And this guy to me is Mark Jackson 2.0 for the worst reasons. If you type in Kevin Ollie on any social media platform, you know what you're going to see and hear? Him talking about God, becoming a better man, how important it is to grow up. I mean, it's all good. He's teaching young kids. I get it.
Yeah, he
teaching them to be young
nails
adults.
that side of it.
That's great. I make $15 million a year. I don't need to hear about any of that shit. How do I win games? That's the NBA. Hey, I'm trying to get a max deal. I'm trying to get better as a player. I don't care about camaraderie and all that. That comes with building a good culture.
Right.
That comes with winning. If the Lions finished 6-11 last year, we're not talking about them spearheading the division and praising the culture quote that they've built. No. Going 8-2 down the stretch allows you to sit there and say, okay, they're on to something. The Pistons win 22 games a year for the last 4 or 5 years. There's no culture.
No.
So what culture do they try to replicate, right? It's a copycat league. You want to do the Denver Nuggets route? Well, it took 4 years for Nikola Jokic to get comfortable with himself. The 5th year, he took off. Okay, well, that's 3 years away for Cade and 4 for Ivy. All right, let's go the Mike Malone route. Malone's been there for almost a decade. Okay, who are you hiring that's going to be here for the next decade? And who's going to win games and not go 20-52 or whatever, 20-62, 25-57?
Mm-hmm.
Pistons fans are tired of this shit. You've got a good backcourt. It's attractive. I like them as much as you do. But it's not pulling any good coach. And if it's Kevin Ollie, I'm going to kill myself.
And for Kevin Ollie, I'm trying to understand why it's Kevin Ollie, because, again, it's all about preferences. He's not my preference. Clearly, it's Troy's. But with Kevin Ollie, what he brings is that side of it, and I know you're going to hate this, player development. And I know you hate that word because you want to win games, but part of that is also developing these young players. So Kevin Ollie, I know, especially with overtime coaching in college, he brings that ability at least. Culture can be built behind winning. So if he's a good coach, he can at least win games. Culture will be developed. Now, I don't have any data to suggest to me that Kevin Ollie would work out in the NBA. I don't know. At least with Charles Lee, you understand, okay, he's been a part of Budenholzer's staff for his whole career. He's been under good coaches or a good coach. He's won a lot of games as an assistant. He was a top assistant. He was promoted last year. But like with Kevin Ollie, it's you were part of the overtime elite league as actually a big part in developing players, which, again, a lot of talent coming out of that league. In college, he worked well with guards. You always saw guards, especially for Kevin Ollie, play well in the tournament. Like, I get all of that. The developmental side, great. There's also a risk there because with Troy, and again, this is the most important decision he's going to make besides drafting Cade. So whoever it is, the expectations don't change. My worry is you bring Kevin Ollie in, and we all expect this team to contend for the play-in, and I don't know if the results will be there initially, right away. And that's the scary part with Kevin Ollie. I don't know anything. I only know what he did in college. I only know what he's done with the overtime elite. There's a lot of unknowns there, and we won't know any more than Troy and Tom talking to these guys. So if Kevin Ollie gets the job, it's for good reason, but he's going to be held to the same standard any of these other coaches would be if they're coaching the Pistons.
I can't.
Get this team to the play-in.
Mike Malone took over in 2015. He's been there for almost a decade, 8 years now. He took over a roster that was constructed with Danilo Gallinari, Randy Foye, whatever the hell his last name is, Kenneth Faried. Remember Kenneth Faried?
Yeah, I do.
Will Barton, DJ Augustine, Daryl Arthur, Sean Kilpatrick. Any of these guys ring a bell? Mike Miller. There you go, Mike Miller. 15 years in the NBA at the time, but hey, Mike Miller, right? Let's see. Emmanuel Mudiay, bust. Old Jameer Nelson, okay. A rookie, Nikola Jokic, nah. What? Jakar Sampson? They won 30 games in the Western Conference in his first year. They won 30. I'm sorry. They won 33. Year one with Mike Malone. I'm here 4 years now being told that 20 wins is okay because they're tanking, which isn't a guaranteed pick, along with Dwayne Casey's building and developing these players. Killian Hayes was being developed. Cade, wait, hear me out.
Yeah.
This is not a knock. This is just me getting really frustrated with, if we want to bring in a Kevin Ollie, I don't want to hear about player development. I want to hear about winning basketball games and building a winning basketball culture. If you go out and win 33 games this year, I'm very happy. I think that's a successful season. You want to come out and show your ass and win 20 games with any coach, not just Kevin Ollie, I'm going to lose my shit.
Absolutely.
And that's where I stand with this team. Troy Weaver, his job is on the line in terms of who he hires.
Absolutely.
You don't get the third hire. You got Casey, you walked in, you made it work.
Yeah, because he didn't hire Casey.
This is the first one. You don't get that. I mean, I treat Casey as a hire only because how long he let him stay. Regardless of pitching a tank, it doesn't matter to me. I think that is incompetency at its finest, really. But whatever. I don't want to rag on Casey here. It's not the point. The point is Mike Malone walks in, wins 33 games with a shit roster in the Western Conference.
Monty Williams doubled the win total his first year with Phoenix.
For the Suns.
Yeah.
I want to see a coach come in here with an identity and coach his ass off. And if you want to grow with the young players, be my guest. Be my guest. I don't mind. And this is a great situation for any young coach to find their voice. Look at Mazzulla. Why is he struggling? It's not because he's an idiot. He took over a team that was in the NBA Finals. Everybody on that team is an alpha. Marcus Smart, alpha character. Jaylen Brown, alpha character. Jason Tatum. They're all alphas. It's tough for a guy to walk in who was not even an assistant for a year.
Youngest coach in
and
the
say,
NBA.
guys, buck the fuck up. We're playing defense. You're not getting that message across. You get a guy like Kevin Ollie, Charles Lee, Jaron Collins, great. They walk in, fine. But I don't want to hear about development. I'm going to lose my mind.
Well, but development can be, because again, I get what you're saying, and I agree with you with development. You don't want the whole season's focus to be player development, because then you get away from winning games. It should be win games first, develop players second. Like, player development should happen organically as you're winning games. I agree. I don't think it should be a throwaway season. Just go out there and develop.
Yeah, but I keep hearing
you
about
should win 30-plus
Dwayne
games.
Casey being in the front office. I hear about John Beeline being up there, and everyone's talking about this like, they got all this brain power, and where the fuck does it show up at all, ever? Well, what do you have to show for all the brain power? Troy Weaver, for all the credit he gets, I like the guy. What do we have to show for it? What?
Well, not wins.
And now it's Kevin Ollie?
Bruh.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to, I don't know.
How does this news coming out and being so public affect the next contract that they try to get done?
I think whoever they get, they're probably going to give them 4 years minimum.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to change much.
Especially who the guys they have and they're interviewing, Charles Lee, Kevin Ollie, Jaron Collins, these guys, and now it's really just Charles Lee, and if I'm not mistaken, I haven't seen Jaron Collins, at least rumored. It's really just Charles Lee and Kevin Ollie. At least those guys, they've been the candidates since the start. So at this point, I think if they offer either of those guys a job, I would assume they would take it.
You don't think that they'll use this as leverage?
No, because Monty has a better resume than both of them combined in the NBA. So I guess that if you want to come after Monty and use it as leverage, well, I'll say, well, Monty took his team to an NBA Finals. So have you done it?
I'm trying to.
And Ali hasn't. Charles Lee hasn't. So I don't think it affects it, but it is. I mean, when this becomes public, it's like, oh, he doesn't want to go to the Pistons, which I think partially is true. But Monty Williams has taken a year off. I don't think he would have been a finalist for that Bucks job.
If your job was appealing enough, he would have taken it. The Pistons' job isn't that appealing.
Isn't the Bucks job the most appealing job?
No, it's not, because Chris Middleton is aging not so well. You have arguably one of the 3 best players in Giannis. It's an aging roster. It gets older every year. Their window was the championship year and this past year to get something done.
Yeah.
And the last year, the 2 years, really. So they went and won the chip after the bubble, and then it was lost in the Eastern Conference Finals, I believe. And that's the year the Golden State Warriors won. Mm-hmm. And then there's this year, lost in the first round. That is not the most appealing job. And if you're Monty Williams, you know what job you want? You want the next job where you're like, yeah, I want to build that. I don't think Monty's looking to coach a championship-ready team that's on the literal last year before they have to reconstruct around Giannis, which is likely this year. You get one more year with that 55-win Bucks team, and then it's, okay, Lopez, what are we doing with him? Middleton? I mean, he's regressed the last 2 years. Drew Holiday, I love the guy, so you can never go wrong with him. He can stay. Mm-hmm. Then what? What's around me? What's Giannis working with? You're going to have to reconstruct that. You want that job? You get fired if you get bounced in the second round because Middleton is a scrub and Giannis gets hurt again? I don't think the Bucks is the most appealing job for a guy like Monty. He's shown he can build something. I think that's his next project.
Well, the 2 most appealing jobs is Phoenix and Milwaukee, because of who you're coaching. And that matters. Like, you look at the roster, yes, you're correct. But if I get to coach Giannis, arguably the best player in the world, like that's the most appealing job. Or Devin and KD, that's an appealing job. I don't know. The Bucks really wanted Monty. He's not in their finalists. Like, maybe there's a chance Monty said, nah, I'm good. But there's also a chance that Monty's simply saying, I'm going to take a year off and see it. There's going to be plenty of opportunities. Monty's going to be pursued constantly. And I love this comment, too, because I didn't even think about this. Coach Walk says, Monty going to Boston. Imagine that scenario. Boston fires Joe Mazzulla, Monty Williams. I think Monty...
Zero chance they fire Mazzulla.
I know you said he doesn't want to take a job where he wants to build something. If that Boston Celtics job opens, Monty Williams, I'm jumping right in.
That you can sell me on. But, sorry, Mazzulla's not getting fired.
There might be a slight chance he gets fired.
There's a slight.
That is Brad Stevens' boy. That is not happening. That is handpicked. You know, Ime Udoka, his assistant coach was Mazzulla.
Yeah.
You know who picked him for that role? Brad Stevens, not Ime Udoka.
Yeah, he was the GM.
Like that
of
is
course.
his hand-picked guy.
And to be fair, all the top assistants for Ime left, and then Joe Mazzulla took
And that's
over.
the biggest problem I think Boston has is their whole bench was taken away, and they replaced it with a 34-year-old.
Yeah, he didn't have any top assistants with him.
There was nobody there for him to work with. So the fact that they're even in the Eastern Conference Finals is something, but just shows how talented they are. But who knows? Monty maybe.